Good morning, and this is Mornings LALATE. Big exciting news as the president's about to address the American people, and forced stimulus heats up. The big excitement of reoccurring stimulus checks is on the plate. Forced stimulus is the latest stimulus package from the President of the United States. But within minutes from now, the President will go live to announce a series of executive orders. I'll break into that live recording as the President announces major decisions. Meantime, the new jobless numbers were released today, and what did they say? California rose in new jobless claims. Continuing unemployment claims continue to stay stable, but not improving at 3.73 million people unemployed. Meantime, the new jobless claims, the new people newly claiming unemployment, rose higher than estimates. On the move today, or on the move, if you're a Calcino fan, is Apple, Twitter, and also the leader of the business that owns Corona Beer. The FANG stocks continue to surge. Meantime, Jamie Dimon's comment is that the economy is booming, so how fast can we get stimulus out the door? New videos this morning from the president, from his commerce secretary, and also from his press secretary detailing what's happening in forced stimulus. But I will be breaking live into the major executive orders being announced by the President of the United States. And of course, live coverage from Augusta. The Masters golf tournament is underway. Let's tee off. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and the coffee is brewing as we go into a big morning, hitting off the tees right now as Mornings LA goes underway. Good morning, everybody. The toast is toast and the butter is buttering. And the president is talking. Within minutes, the president of the United States will address the American people with a series of new executive orders. I'll be breaking into that live broadcast as soon as it's announced. He's about to go live within any moment, and we will see that feed. Meantime, the new jobless numbers were released minutes ago, and I'll go over those numbers and what it means for forced stimulus. And away we go with those multiple stimulus checks. Good morning. How are you? Thank you for joining me on an early version of Mornings LA. I wanted to go live because the president's about to announce a sweeping set of executive orders. This is absolutely jaw-dropping. So thank you for joining me. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We're having a lot of big news today, and I have it ready for you with the toast and the butter and the coffee. But you didn't bring the bacon. Also, like this video. Let's see if we can get to 3,000 likes. It's birthday month on this channel. We're turning 1 year old at the end of this month. We're about 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers away from 400,000. So let's do it. Meantime, let me go over the big news that started the day. The jobless numbers. I'll be cutting to those in 1 second. But your $1,400 third stimulus check landed yesterday. More will be landing this week by either direct deposit today or by mail check this week. If you're a March 26 mail check recipient or anyone that has a mail date of April, it's still coming. I'll be covering that late in this broadcast, but the excitement is that fourth stimulus check, that reoccurring fourth stimulus check, that monthly fourth stimulus check that could singularly be the biggest payday you have ever seen on this channel. How is this happening? It's happening because Chuck Schumer won a major ruling earlier this week. And that ruling allows him to do another recon without using up a prior one. He can amend the third stimulus package with a new recon. The to-do list, number one, those MSCs. The money is categorically huge. The money would look something like this. Oops. No, wrong graphic. The money would look something like this. The stimulus checks, if they went out starting in the month of July, then this would give you 6 months of checks because they want to do it to the end of the year. Then the only issue is how much per check. Insiders say that it's going to be somewhere between $1,400 to $2,000 a check. This is really incredible, great news. Who would get this fourth stimulus check? The people who would get a fourth stimulus check are the same that got the third stimulus check. So if you make less than $75,000, this would be you. The household size would stay the same, four-person household. If you're on SSI and SSDI, this would be you. The speed of getting this done is very at issue. First, every month that passes, you miss a stimulus check. You want the check to go out as soon as possible. You want the bill in the Senate as soon as possible. You want it to law as soon as possible. The other big question is the economic rebound. And the jobs numbers this morning, interesting. We'll be talking about that in a second. And you don't want jobs restored while stimulus checks are in the limbo. You want that bill in the Senate as fast as possible. The path is by recon. There is no path by bipartisanship because Republicans won't give a stimulus check. The bill would land in the Senate the second time around, and then at the vote-a-rama, that two-day amendment day, that's when 21 of 50 Democratic senators would propose an amendment to the bill to provide monthly stimulus checks. This is all huge, great news. And let me recap where we are. In a second, I'm about to cut in live from what the president's about to say in a series of major executive orders. You know, in 2020, when I used to cover executive orders, there was never a press announcement. The president would sort of say it's coming, and then it would just be released on a Saturday. Today, a lot of fanfare, a lot of live broadcasts, a lot of details. So stay with me because, boy, I fully expect this is what you're going to see today. First, you're going to see the executive orders from the president. Then you're going to see a press conference. Then you're going to see Dr. Fauci and Dr. Walensky. A series of live broadcasts. Yesterday had no less than 3 live broadcasts about fourth stimulus. I mean, it's really surprising. I'm loving it. I know you loved it. We had a lot of fun yesterday, and today we'll have fun as well going over these details. Let me go over what happened this morning. You know what Thursday morning is. Yep, it's the weekly unemployment numbers. 2 numbers released every Thursday. You've been with me for now, what? Close to 40-something weeks. And you know what I've had for you every Thursday morning. Shortly before sunrise, the new numbers for unemployment are released. We see 3 numbers every week. First, we see people who newly became unemployed. 2, we see the number of people who are still unemployed from the prior week. And 3, we see which states have surges and improvements on unemployment numbers. This number, along with the monthly number, which you saw last week for job creation, are the determining factors for your fourth stimulus check and fourth stimulus package. The fourth stimulus package proposes to give you multiple stimulus checks every month until the end of the year because jobs are not restored and unemployment is not back to normal. Well, on Friday, last Friday, the jobs numbers were absolutely great. Blew it out of the ballpark. 1 million jobs created in the month of March, which means that with 8 million jobs missing, it could take 8 months to restore the jobs the end of this year. But on Friday, analysts said, we think that there could be 2 million jobs restored in the month of April, the one we're in now, and that would restore all the jobs in 4 months. The question is that accurate or not accurate? Well, away we went with this morning's new numbers. Here you go. You're hearing it first on LALATE. The new jobless numbers for this morning. Wall Street was looking at 694. Last week, it was 728. So what did the number come in at? It not only was higher than estimates of 694, but it was higher than the week before, 744. We're going from not good to worse. What does this mean for you? It means that stimulus checks have that push that they need. It means that unemployment is not improving, and that this is exactly the ammunition that Democratic senators need to give you those multiple stimulus checks. Next number today. The continuing unemployment claims. People who are still unemployed in the United States, the number continued to stay relatively flat at 3.73 million Americans unemployed from the week before. It only improved by 16,000, not a very sizable improvement. So unemployed people, 3.73 million. Number of jobs missing, 8 million. These numbers work hand in hand to get those multiple stimulus checks out the door. Item to-do list, number one, multiple stimulus checks. Let's look at that number. Getting the bill out in July, or signed in June, and the money goes out in July. Every month, that's 6 months of checks. They've said that's what they want to do. They haven't given us the amount per month, but we're on the streets $1,400 or $2,000. Look at those numbers. $8,400 for one person. One person. Family of four, multiply that by 4. SSI, SSDI, one person, that's you. Single individual, employed or not employed, that's you. $12,000. If it's $2,000, one person asked yesterday, is his income, is this taxable? No. Stimulus checks are not income, not taxable, would not impact your benefits whatsoever. So why did the unemployment number today go the way it went? Let's look at this. California had 39,000 new jobless claims last week. This is jaw-dropping. New York had 16,000 new jobless claims. Meantime, several states improved. Alabama improved by 14,000. Ohio improved by 10,000. Now, there's a lot of theories you can go into these numbers, which is one. I have a lot of viewers in California who know they've gotten that unemployment email that says, please reapply. Or in other states, please reapply. That may have triggered some normalities or some abnormalities about the jobless numbers today. But the bottom line is the number's not good. The president's about to go live with an executive order announcement within minutes. I'll cut into that. Also breaking today is the Masters. The golf tournament's underway. And I'll have live coverage for you all weekend long. LALATE, the website has relaunched, and it relaunches with coverage live around the clock of the Masters leaderboard. It runs Thursday to Saturday. There's a 1.5 million purse. It's a lot of fun. If you don't like golf, this is still a great tournament to watch. It's just fun to watch. The defending champion is Dustin Johnson. So let's go back to what happened yesterday. Yesterday, Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase, said that the economy is booming. This was his message to Americans, that this boom could easily run into 2023. And we see that boom across the FANG stocks this week. They're actually trading higher today as well. FANG stocks are Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. That is a cause for concern because you want this stimulus package to go out as soon as possible. What are the big issues when we're talking about forced stimulus? The big issues are time, and time. You want that bill to go out as quickly as possible because every time there is a delay, that ultimately this could cause concerns. Let's look at the graph. People have been asking when. Well, we're currently in the middle of third stimulus. All that money for rent and utilities is available now at your city and state. Look for it. If you need help, reach out to the volunteers. Their money for the EIDL is about to go live, the shuttered venue grant, the restaurant grant, which includes a lot of things beyond just venues. So check that out. That's about to go live. Meantime, the $1,700 for college students, that's available at your college level now, that financial aid. Go get that. The child money, the $3,600 coming live in just a few weeks. But June is when forced stimulus needs to go into that Senate. July is when it needs to go out the door. And September is when third stimulus is about to expire. There's a big speed issue at hand. Let's look at the speed issue. You want this stimulus, this forced stimulus, to be in the Senate as soon as possible and out the door. One, because every month costs you a check. I mean, it's sort of Captain Obvious there. Number two, you want it to be done and into law, signed into law, done, finished, before there's an economic rebound like Jamie Dimon was talking about. And then you don't want the jobs restored before that. Remember, who gets this? Everyone that qualifies for the third stimulus check would qualify for this. Less than $75,000 individual, household size, 4 people, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Real benefits. And the president's going live. Let's listen in right now.
Good morning. Over the course of my career, I have seen gun violence up close. I've looked at autopsy photographs. I've seen with my own 2 eyes what a bullet can do to the human body. I've held hands with the hands of parents who have lost a child. I have seen children who were traumatized by the loss of a parent or sibling. And I have fought my entire career to end this violence and to pass reasonable gun safety laws. Time and again, as progress has stalled, we've all asked, what are we waiting for? Because we aren't waiting for a tragedy, I know that. We've had more tragedy than we can bear. We aren't waiting for solutions either, because the solutions exist. They already exist. People on both sides of the aisle want action. Real people on both sides of the aisle want action. So all that is left is the will and the courage to act. And President Joe Biden has the will and the courage to act. As a United States Senator, Joe Biden took on the gun lobby not once but twice, and he won. In 1993, he worked to pass the Brady Handgun Violation Prevention Act. This law established a background check system and has kept more than 3 million firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. A year later, he worked to pass another law to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines for 10 years. And as Vice President, Joe Biden led the Obama-Biden administration's efforts to reduce gun violence. In fact, we were just reminiscing that he and I talked back then about his work because I was Attorney General at the time of California. And his work resulted in nearly 24 actions, from narrowing the gun show loophole to expanding funding for mental health services. And as you will hear in a moment, President Joe Biden is a leader with great will, great determination, and even greater empathy. He has seen the grief of all of those who have lost a loved one to gun violence. It is for them, for all of us, that he will never, ever give up on this fight. And it is now my great honor to introduce the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Kamala, Madam Vice President. Thank you very much. You know, we're joined today by the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who I've asked to prioritize gun violence. It's also good to see the second gentleman who is here, and it's good to see the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who cares deeply about this issue as well. And I look out there and I see so many members of Congress who've led in this fight, so many of you who've never given up, so many of you are in.
You're watching a live feed from the White House, the Rose Garden right now. It's shortly after 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock on mornings, LA. The big update is that forced stimulus is heating up with monthly stimulus checks. The President of the United States had no less than 3 videos yesterday talking about the forced stimulus package. I'll have the details with you shortly. You're watching the President of the United States about to announce a sweeping set of executive orders within the next few moments. Let's listen in.
No amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. We call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons. So the idea is just bizarre to suggest that some of the things we're recommending are contrary to the Constitution. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic. Let me say it again. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic, and it's an international embarrassment. You know, we saw it again last night as I was coming to the Oval Office. I got the word that in South Carolina, a physician with his wife, 2 grandchildren, and a person working at his house was gunned down, all 5. So many people, so many of the people sitting here today know that well, unfortunately. You know, they know what it's like when the seconds change your life forever. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet in awful circumstances many of you who've lost your children, your husbands, your wives. You know, they know what it's like to bury a piece of their soul deep in the earth. We understand that. Mark and Jackie, I want to tell you, it's always good to see you, but not under these circumstances. I want to say before I introduce the rest of the folks, is, you know, what a lot of people have not been through, what they've been through, don't understand. It takes a lot of courage to come to an event like this.
I'll be cutting back to the president within a moment from now as he gives background on what he's about to announce in a set of sweeping executive orders. Good morning. It's Mornings LALATE. How are you? The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And thank you for joining me on a big morning of Mornings LALATE. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. The big news about forced stimulus is that it got an inherently collateral push this morning. What was the push? The push was the following. You always know that when we're talking about stimulus, you need to have an economy to stimulate. And you don't want to see economic data getting too good too quickly, because ultimately people may not give that stimulus. You've heard me over the last few days talk about the jobs numbers from Friday and how strong they were, and how you need to get this bill in the Senate, the forced stimulus, as soon as possible to get those monthly reoccurring stimulus checks. And my concern that the job numbers could improve within 4 months and restore jobs across the country. I've also told you there's a second number. And that second number is unemployment numbers, which is every Thursday. Remember, the jobs numbers are once a month. The unemployment numbers are every Thursday. Well, guess what happened out of nowhere? The unemployment numbers came in this morning, and they were horrible. They were horrible. They were not actually at what Wall Street estimated. They were actually worse, and they were actually worse than the week before that people thought that were going to improve as well. Ironically, in a strange twist again, this helps stimulus, because if people are unemployed, you need stimulus. It helps those monthly stimulus checks. First, let me go over the monthly stimulus checks with you, and then we'll go over what the unemployment numbers were this morning. Here again is the monthly stimulus checks calculations. We know a series of things, the routing times and how frequent they would be, and the eligibility. We don't know the monthly check amount. So if the bill got to the Senate and done in June, then it would be out the door with a check in July to December every month for you. $2,000 or $1,400 are the word on the street. That would give you, SSI, SSDI, Social Security recipient, you, an individual who makes less than $75,000, you, a child or an adult dependent, $1,400 or $2,000 per month. Who is eligible for this $1,400 third stimulus check? Let's go over that detail again so you understand it. This is you if you make less than $75,000. This is you if the household is 4 or less. And this is you if you're on SSI or SSDI. The path is the following. They want to do it by reconciliation. When the bill would land in the Senate, they'd have that 2-day vote-a-rama. And at that point, 21 of 50 Democrats would amend the bill, whatever is in the bill, and put in those monthly stimulus checks. The push is important. The speed is important. The speed of getting the bill to finality in the Senate. Because every month you miss a stimulus check, every month there could be concern about economic rebound, and every month you're worried that jobs could be restored. I'll be going over the new jobs numbers that were released minutes ago that were not good and ultimately help the push for stimulus. But let's listen into more about what the president's saying right now.
Now, without having to go through the Congress. And today I'm announcing several initial steps my administration is taking to curb this epidemic of gun violence. Much more need be done, but the first, want to rein in the proliferation of so-called ghost guns. These are guns that are homemade, built from a kit, that include directions on how to finish the firearm. You can go buy the kit. They have no serial numbers, so when they show up at a crime scene, they can't be traced. And the buyers aren't required to pass a background check to buy the kit, to make the gun. Consequently, anyone from a criminal to a terrorist can buy this kit in as little as 30 minutes, put together a weapon. You know, I want to see these kits treated as firearms under the Gun Control Act, which is going to require that the seller and manufacturers make the key parts with serial numbers and run background checks on the buyers when they walk in to buy that package. The second action we're going to take, back in the year 2000, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms released a report on its investigations of firearms trafficking in America. The report was of pivotal value. It was an important tool for policymakers when I was in the Senate and beyond, at all levels, to stop firearms from being illegally diverted into dangerous hands. Today, with online sales and ghost guns, times and trafficking methods have changed, and we have to adjust. We also have to ask the Justice Department to release a new annual report. This report will better help policymakers address firearms trafficking as it is today, not what it was yesterday. The third change, we want to treat pistols modified with stabilizing braces with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace shook in a pencil essentially makes that pistol a hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle. As a result, it's more lethal, effectively turning it into a short-barreled rifle. That's what the alleged shooter in Boulder appears to have done. I want to be clear that these modifications to firearms that make them more lethal should be subject to the National Firearms Act. The National Firearms Act requires that a potential owner pay $200 fee and submit their name and other identifying information to the Justice Department, just as they would if they went out and purchased a silencer for a gun. Fourthly, during my campaign for president, I wanted to make it easier for states to adopt extreme risk protection order laws. They're also called red flag laws, which everybody in this lawn knows, but many people listening do not know. These laws allow a police or family member to petition a court in their jurisdiction and say, I want you to temporarily remove from the following people any firearm they may possess because they're a danger and a crisis. They're presenting a danger to themselves and to others. And the court makes a ruling. To put this in perspective, more than half of all suicides, for example, involve.
You're watching a live broadcast from the White House, the Rose Garden, as the president announces sweeping executive orders. The first one was to make kits to create firearms illegal. He's now going into the second executive order.
And seeing the reduction in the number of suicides in their states. Every single month, by the way, an average of 53 women are shot and killed by an intimate partner. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. It's been a constant struggle to keep it moving. We know red flag laws can have significant effect in protecting women from domestic violence. And we know red flag laws can stop mass shooters before they can act out their violent plans. I'm proud, excuse the point of personal privilege we used to say in the Senate, I'm proud that the red flag law in my home state of Delaware was named after my son, Attorney General Beau Biden, our son, excuse me, Joe, who proposed that legislation back in 2013. I want to see a national red flag law and legislation to incentivize states to enact their own red flag laws. Today, I asked the Justice Department to publish a model red flag legislation so states can start crafting their own laws right now. Just like with background checks, the vast majority of the Americans support these extreme risk protection orders.
We'll cut back to the president's live address announcing sweeping executive orders. But what's important to know is what came in this morning. The new jobless numbers shocked everyone, including myself. These are the new unemployment numbers released this morning that have everything to do with your forced stimulus, that it will give you a multiple stimulus check if they get this bill to the Senate in due time. The new jobless claims this week, estimates from Wall Street were expecting 694,000. It came in at 744,000 new jobless claims. This is new people went on unemployment just this last week. Wall Street looking for 694. It came in nearly 50,000 higher. The prior week was 728. So it not only beat estimates, but it was higher than the week before. And then we look at the continuing unemployment number, that second number I tell you to watch every week. It came in at 3.73 million, relatively flat. It only improved 16,000. Where is this growth of unemployment numbers coming from? It's showing that there's a big surge of unemployment cases in California last week, nearly 40,000. New York heading to nearly 20,000. Other states like Ohio improved and Alabama dropped on 14,000 new jobless claims. What does this mean for you? It means that getting this fourth stimulus bill to the Senate as quickly as possible is helped with the nuances of unemployment claims not being good. The to-do list for what is in force stimulus is MSC, hashtag MSC. You want to take this video and share it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, with the hashtag MSC. You want those multiple stimulus checks as those Democrats want to include there. You want those stimulus checks to begin as quickly as possible, and you want it to occur because ultimately there's always a concern that this economy could rebound too soon. Also, there's a lot of other items on the to-do list: FPUC retro, SSI reform, hazard pay, and minimum wage. Meantime, let me cut to the third stimulus check. If you did not get your third stimulus check yesterday by direct deposit, here's the advice. Number one, wait. More deposit accounts could occur this week and today as well. There could also be another round of deposits next Wednesday. We don't know about that yet. Second, check the mail. Check the mail because 50% of the viewers of this channel, the check may be coming in the mail. Then wait for guidance from IRS about how to request the missing stimulus check. One of the viewers in the chat said he's overseas, never got the second stimulus check. You should have requested it by filing a 2020 tax return and indicating who and where you are to get that direct deposit. The viewer also said the deposit account is overseas internationally. I don't think that they deposit stimulus checks internationally. Great question, though. Meantime, the mail checks are coming late. Those March 26 mail checks, one viewer got it yesterday. Viewers are still getting them. The April 2nd to 5th check, add about 10 days to those. Those are late. And the April 9th checks for this week, they're still going out. A lot of details. Let's cut back to what the president's addressing the American people on right now.
Time for some action. I believe the Senate should immediately pass 3 House-passed bills to close loopholes that allow gun purchasers to bypass the background checks. The vast majority of the American people, including gun owners, believe there should be background checks before you purchase a gun. As was noted earlier, hundreds of thousands of people have been denied guns because of the background checks. What more would have happened? These bills, one, require background checks for anyone purchasing a gun at a gun show or an online sale. Most people don't know it. You walk into a store and you buy a gun, you have a background check. But you go to a gun show, you can buy whatever you want and no background check. Second thing is to close what's known as the Charleston loophole. Like people here, I spent time down at that church in Charleston. What happened is someone was allowed to get the gun used to kill those innocent people at a church service. If the FBI didn't complete the background check within 3 days. There's a process. If it wasn't done in 3 days, according to the Charleston loophole, you get to buy the gun. They bought the gun and killed a hell of a lot of innocent people who invited him to pray with them. And 3, reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act, which the so-called close the boyfriend and stalking loopholes to keep guns out of the hands of people.
You've been watching a live broadcast direct from the White House of the President of the United States addressing the American people. I appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate your great comments. You had really great comments. Keep it civil, as we always do on this channel. It's important to understand that the president's been going live a lot lately. Yesterday, there was not one, not two, but 3 live feeds about the forced stimulus package. We never know when forced stimulus will be brought up by the president during his exchange. Yesterday, the press secretary, for example, brought up third stimulus and fourth stimulus in less than 2 seconds in the press briefing. So it was one of those days. That's why I always like to cut in and see what's going on. Ultimately, it's important to be informed about the events that's unfolding. Here's what you need to know. That fourth stimulus bill, that whether you call it the infrastructure bill or you call it the jobs bill, is on its way. Where is it? First, it has not been written as a bill. Number 2, it's in proposal stage. Number 3, yesterday the president made a lot of talk about doing things with bipartisan support. You don't want him to do that. Ultimately, you and I love bipartisan push, but this is a time that you don't want it. Why? Because the Republicans have already said they don't want to give you a stimulus check. So why would you support bipartisan push for the bill? Moreover, the Republicans have said to the President of the United States, in this fourth stimulus package, we don't want climate in there. Take the climate out. He says, I'm not going to take climate out. So why are we waiting? Just away we go. Here's what you need to know, is that the Democrats have the support and would do this round the clock. Whether it's a corporate tax rate or these other side issues, they're not big issues. The president's already said, I'll go from 28 to 25. I'll agree upon these things. Not a big issue. The issue is timing. You, me, pushing purple power, push, push, push. Take these videos and get them to push and go quickly. Here's what you need to know. This morning started with those jobless numbers you saw, unemployment numbers. Every Thursday morning, I just showed them to you. They were really bad numbers, bad in terms of not good for people who are unemployed. On the other side, it's actually helpful numbers for purposes of pushing for forced stimulus, because it says, hey, look, the job unemployment numbers are going up again. That means we need those stimulus checks to go out. That is where pushing works. This is the time to push. Moreover, yesterday, not one, but 3 parts team members of his cabinet said, we want to hear from the American people. We want to hear from Republicans and Democrats and purple about what should be in the fourth stimulus package. So now is the time to contact your Democratic senators, contact your Democratic House members, contact the Commerce Secretary, who spoke extensively, and you'll see her video later today on LALATE, talked extensively about what they want to hear from you about in the fourth stimulus package. It's very clear. 21 of 50 Democratic senators have universally said, when the bill lands with us, we're putting those multiple stimulus checks in there. That needs to be your push, because this is bigger money than hazard pay, bigger money than $2,400 of SSI, bigger money than FPUC retro. This is the biggest payday you'll ever see on this channel, as every individual who makes less than $75,000. This is where you want to push purple power. Push, push, push. Hashtag MSC. Hashtag purple power, all together, one word. Share the video on Twitter, tag the Democratic senators, and also call them up, write them a letter, contact their staffers, contact the cabinet members. People usually don't contact cabinet members. Contact the cabinet members' staff and say, I want to give my input on this subject matter. I think this is what you should be doing. Here's what you need to know. There's a 2-step process for reconciliation. It's the tow truck and the tow hitch all over again. What's the tow truck? Step number 1. They send the bill to the House, asking the House to agree to do something by reconciliation. They pass it. Then they go to the Democrats in the Senate. Do you want to do another bill by reconciliation? This is different than saying whether they can, because they can. This is asking them, do you want to? And if they say yes, then good. Then they go back to step 2. At that point, the tow truck has passed over the finish line. Then they got to put the stuff that's on the tow hitch in the back, the MSCs. They go back to the House, and then they work on finishing the bill, the actual bill that pays the checks. Now, understand, there's likely not to be any checks in that bill while it's in the House. The House will finish the bill, send it to the Senate, and then during that 2-day event, the vote-a-rama, where they amend the bill. This is the second time when the bill lands in the Senate. When they amend the bill, that's when the multiple stimulus checks get in there. The reason why I go over this timeline for you is to show you it takes a little while. It's not a few days. It's not a few weeks. It's about a month to 2 months. So you want this bill in the Senate as soon as possible. You want it in the Senate by June or July. You don't want it in August or September. Why? Economy may be rebounded by then. You don't want to risk the push. So with that, thank you for joining me on a really extended morning's broadcast. We're at the 40-minute mark. I'll be back with you more today on LALATE. So stay informed, stay focused. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.